totally love that theme. I love
that
that
good.
theme. It's my ringtone. I love that theme, and I thought that was good to open this up. And what we're talking about, and I guess we should explain, is the reason we call ourselves FES News, which, thanks to Elizabeth, excuse me.
I am here.
She came up with, after Rudy Eugene, and finding out there was more after that, she came up with face-eating syndrome. It just seemed easier to say FES than trying to describe what these people are doing. So that's why this whole episode, or anything that we do on here, is pretty much going to be based around trying to find out what happened to Rudy Eugene, Johnny Lewis, and what we've discovered is probably 50 more aside from them. We should probably start at the beginning, because even though we expect everybody to know who we're talking about when we say Rudy Eugene, believe it or not, it can be as common as can be, and somebody will say, well, who's that? Which I actually had happen a year after that happened. I'm like, oh, Rudy Eugene, and they're like, who's that? And they had no idea who I was talking about. So we might want to explain to them, even though we know, and probably you guys out there will get bored because most of you know, but for those that don't, or forgot his name, let's say, they might have even known the incident, remembered the incident, and forgot his name. Rudy Eugene lived in Miami, Florida. This was in 2012. And he got up and he had planned on going for the day to some festival that they were having in Miami. And he went to that for a few hours, and he drove there. And when he left there, we don't know anybody that saw him right prior to what he had done, but he left there, apparently walked to his car, and there were witnesses, if I'm right, Liz, if I'm wrong, let me know. But there were witnesses saying he couldn't start his car. My wondering about that would be, did he even have the right key? Could he not get the key in? Because you wouldn't really know if you're standing off to the side. You just see that somebody's trying to start the car and it's not working. He got frustrated, left the car, and am I right? If I remember the story correctly, he left his door open to the car?
Well, actually,
he
ended up at Miami Beach after the festival. That's when he couldn't start the car. He left the beach. Nobody knows why he was at the beach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so that's when he went to the car and couldn't start it. It was shortly before 2 p.m. when all of this happened.
Right, okay. Midday, hot Miami. I want to add that, too, because that's going to come into the story on all these. He leaves the car that witnesses said he couldn't start. I'm wondering if he even could get the key in the ignition, because once they become disoriented, they really don't, I don't think they know what they're doing. Walks away from the car, heads up the road. If I'm correct, he walked quite a while. 2 miles.
He walked quite a mile, and there were reports along his way, walking, of a naked man that was walking down the road naked and hanging off light poles.
Okay.
Just prior to Pop-Out.
Just prior to Pop-Out. So he's walking down the road. It was quite a distance. And apparently they did find, I remember reading, they found his stuff just up the road, going down like he was just throwing his stuff around, stripping and throwing it. He didn't do it organized. And climbing a pole and swinging naked off a pole. I mean, I can understand where people thought he was on drugs, because who does that? And then he runs into Popo. So if you don't know the story, he attacked this homeless guy that was sitting there. Attacked him, and there's a video. So if you haven't seen it, if you don't remember or never seen it or just wasn't interested at the time, just put his name in and you'll see videos on YouTube.
It's not brutal. It's not brutal. It's a distant video camera that caught the incident.
It is, but
it's not like you're going to see detailed of what he's doing.
Yeah, but what caught me is the way that he threw the guy around, because that you can see, where he's just picking him up, and it's taken no effort to throw this man around. People made jokes because Popo was naked that maybe he was trying to rape him, but that's not at all what it is. He was just simply attacking the man and tearing at him, and I'm sure the man was trying to defend himself. In the process, he ripped the clothes off.
He pulled his pants down and began gnawing at his face, but he never ingested any of it. He only gnawed at him and ripped his flesh away.
I'm talking about why Popo was naked. I'm not talking about when he got to his face. The reason I think he was naked is because Rudy, the way he looked underneath that bridge, tossing this guy around by the belt buckle of his pants, he might have even been quite underweight. He was homeless, and the pants, he just pulled them right off if the guy was trying to get away. Okay, so it wasn't anything sexual. The guy wasn't even in that frame of mind. He wanted to attack and kill somebody. Then he starts biting on his face. He ate. He didn't eat. He didn't swallow it. He was tearing the flesh off and spitting it out. Now remember, hanging by a pole, spitting flesh out and attacking somebody. This is like primal activity, primal stuff here. You're an animal. This guy turned literally into an animal. And he ate this face. This is horrible sounding, but it's what happened. It's why I want to know why he did this. He ate this man's face for 18 minutes. Does anybody realize how long that is? Especially if you're the one being attacked. You couldn't hold your breath 18 minutes. 3 minutes and you're struggling. All the pain that it takes on when someone's choking you. Try holding your breath and thinking about being attacked for as long as you possibly can, and then go way overboard with that. That is a long time. That's almost 20 minutes. How can he even focus on just the attack for 20 minutes? So then somebody drives by on a bike. Everybody was calling the police, I guess. The police, the way it looked is he didn't really expect to see what he saw when he walked up to them, because he was casual going up. He thought it was just a fight between a couple homeless people, and one of them's naked, but that had been reported. So you're walking up thinking they're beating the shit out of each other, and he saw what he saw. And you can see in the video how shocked this cop was. He just backed right off and pulled the gun and told him to get off there. Guess what Rudy Eugene does next? He looks up and he growls. Now, if you're growling, again, we're going back to that primal state of being super strong, swinging off poles, attacking like an animal. What does an animal do when they attack in the wild? They literally tear their prey apart if it's not food.
Well, the really ironic part is actually they go after their face to disable them.
Oh, really?
It's natural. The throat and the face to disable them immediately, yes. That is a primal thing. Monkeys will go after your face before anything to disable you.
Again, we go back to primal. I didn't know that. That's good information. It's really hitting something in his brain that's making him go back to our original state or something, or the most primitive state that you can reach as a human.
Yeah, true.
Whatever it is, that seems to be what he was imitating. So he started a slew of questions, but everybody had the new bath salts out. Now I'm going to get brave on the air here and tell you, I've done bath salts when I was younger.
I have to agree.
I've smoked pot. I've done almost everything short of heroin, but I wouldn't go near certain things. But I dabbled. I partied when I was young, okay? And I'm not going to, the reason I have to admit to it is because I wouldn't be able to defend about that he was not on drugs or any of these, that it was not drug-related, anything that we bring up, unless I could tell you, hey, I did that. There's no way that's happening.
That's how I feel.
So for them to say bath salts, I kind of laughed. And then they're saying, bath salts, you get very aggressive. No, you don't. And anyway, over said and done, everybody went crazy with the bath salts. And right after Rudy, a bunch of other people started doing the same thing, and they were all saying, oh, everybody's got the new drug out. And now they're raiding bath salt houses or something. It's crazy. And they're all saying bath salts. And nobody knew. Nobody got an autopsy back yet. And I was dying to hear that autopsy because I said that is not a drug that made that man act like that. No way. Once in a blue moon, you'll have a druggie, and they might act weird or whatever, but to gnaw on someone's face for 18 minutes, swing on a pole, no. What that man did was something completely different. So sure enough, which I should get out actually and read it to you. Liz, pull out the autopsy.
I got it.
Start reading that autopsy, and let's see what they say about why this man acted the way he did, which there will not be any.
The bizarre details of the attack prompted speculations that the 31-year-old attacker was under the influence of harder drugs. Soon after the incident, for example, the head of Miami Police Union publicly speculated that Eugene was on bath salts, synthetic stimulants that have been blamed for seemingly psychotic episodes in other cases and around the country.
Okay, stop there.
But,
they're assuming. They are assuming right there. See, they're saying have been blamed for seemingly psychotic episodes in other cases around the country. What if those other cases around the country is the same as Eugene? Because as you guys are gonna hear, some of them didn't even do drug tests. They just assumed they were on drugs, and that was it. Never even checked to see. So my argument is that those people that are acting like him, it's not about the drugs. But let's go on.
But the medical examiner, after seeking help from an outside forensic toxicology lab, could find no evidence of the common components of bath salts in Eugene's systems, nor did the lab find evidence of synthetic marijuana or LSD. The medical examiner also found that Eugene had not ingested cocaine, heroin, PCP, oxycodone, antihistamines, or any other known street drug other than marijuana, a drug not known for sparking violence. Yeah.
Okay.
No drugs whatsoever found in his system.
Nothing. It also says that Rakia Cross, Eugene's on-again, off-again girlfriend, is convinced that his actions were the result of something supernatural. And I believe that. And we're going to hopefully put the connection together between the supernatural and these people that are acting like this. And I have a feeling he was demonically possessed. I really do. Something in his brain. I don't know if it's a demon possessing him or a sound wave that's affecting the inside and hitting his primal, I don't know even what part of brain that would be.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
They didn't even know why he was at that beach. His car was broke down, supposedly.
Nobody knows why he was at the beach.
Okay, that's the beginning. That is where people woke up and said, whoa, that's weird. Nobody ever does that. And yet...
But it's not the beginning.
It's not the beginning, actually. We can go back further.
That's the beginning to everybody else, because that's when everybody first started noticing. But actually, there were prior...
Well, no, you know what it is? That's the first time that people saw it. I mean, it was right in the public. You couldn't avoid it. You couldn't hide it. You couldn't... Everybody saw it, right? It was in the middle of the
highway
place, underneath the freeway. Okay, the first one that I think I've found was April 7th, 2009. 2009, a stranger chewed and swallowed a bite of somebody's arm. Joseph Lancelotti, the victim was 67, and there was a stranger, Mario Vargas, who was 48. Now, this is another thing, you know. The age doesn't matter. Rudy Eugene was 36. You're going to hear they go from 18 to 70. No kidding. Any age. Any age at all.
You can't tell me a 70-year-old's doing bath salts.
No, 70. I meant an old man. But yeah, what 70-year-old? But then when we get into the professions of these people, you're going to see that some of these are professional and on the job. And the latest one, because there's 11 cases I've found in 2015, and one of them was a nurse who started stripped naked and started attacking all the people, her patients. Okay, but that's getting ahead of things. This guy, Joseph, the 67-year-old, was gardening at his home. This is at 2 in the afternoon as well. This is the middle afternoon. Where is this? Monterey. I don't know where this is. Anyway, he noticed a man walking towards his house shouting angrily, because one is they do a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming, all of them. Hollering, screaming, growling. This guy says he couldn't understand the man because he was yelling in Spanish, which he probably wouldn't have mattered anyway. But when the man got within 2 feet, he slugged the guy in the head, meaning the guy that's doing his lawn, slugged him in the head. So Lancelotti tried to defend himself with the garden rake, and as they struggled over the rake, the stranger bent over and bit this guy on his right forearm for no reason. He's tearing flesh away. He's just taking it and chewing it off his arm. Who the hell does that? Even if you're mad at somebody, you don't bite him. The stranger was still gripping Lancelotti's, whatever his name is. Let me see. Hold on. A girl comes into the picture. She starts dressing the wound. 3 inches. 3 inches. 3 inches wide. He just went ballistic. The pair tried to calm the stranger, who never made any attempt to run away. He eventually let go of him and walked 2 blocks to a parking lot where he hoovered near an empty police car. The suspect, was still standing there when deputies arrived and took him into custody. Talk about disoriented.
Wow.
Hold on a second. Oh, yeah, and then they go into the bacteria. Okay, that would be like one of the first.
Yeah.
That's like one of the first, where somebody just started screaming and hollering, bit the guy's arm after a struggle, but he was disoriented and not very strong. Because he went over to a cop car in a parking lot and just leaned over the cop car and stayed there. How
covered,
unusual.
Yeah.
And then other cops came. So in other words, he found another cop somewhere else in a parking lot. That could be the earliest that I have found, unless the guy really is just pissed off at the guy. But who bites? In all seriousness, when did that start? I don't remember reading the news, and there's a bunch of biting and everything. That's the earliest one I could find that would resemble anything close to it. Whether he's one of them, I'm not sure, because he didn't exhibit the other 5 signs that you find in the cases. That's the only thing.
Well, the suspect did not know the victim, and vice versa.
Oh yeah, it was a stranger.
It stayed.
Yeah, so he could easily have been. He could have been starting. He could have just been in the starting phases before he actually. You know how they say they'll go up to a door and try to break into a strange house, or they found him on the patio throwing furniture around. You read a lot of those.
Yeah.
Maybe he just found a victim to attack. But then when they pushed him away, he was disoriented and simply walked over, and it happened to be a cop car he went to. Probably didn't even know it. I mean, it could have been the very beginning. He could have become very, very dangerous. Because I'm sure they brought him to a hospital if he was acting like that.
Yeah.
Either way, whether he was one or not, it was worth noting in case he was.
Yeah.
He's obviously not doing drugs because he's older. He's 50 years old. It's highly unlikely that he's snorting bath salts in 2009 and attacking neighbors who are doing their lawn, which that isn't the first one. There's another one who sprayed a guy with bug spray because he was clipping his hedges. And the guy came over and just started attacking him, so he sprayed him with bug spray and held him down because the bug spray will blind a person permanently if you spray him in the eyes. So you don't want to ever do that to somebody. Okay, the symptoms of
good point.
If you don't want a gun, get that 25 feet bug spray. That'll do the trick. The symptoms. I want you to listen to this, people. Listen to these symptoms of what they do. And it's going to be in almost every case, or most of these symptoms will be in every case. And we'll prove that to you as the show goes on. And we're going to have to do more than one show because it's going to take a long time to get through it. But it's very interesting. And these symptoms, what I want to say is, if you guys in your town or your community have read a story and everybody said, oh, he was just really high, and that story has any of these symptoms involved in it, more than one, send them to us. Send them to us. I want to hear about it. You can call into the show, but send an email. I'll have you on. Send an email to happyzebras, with an S, happyzebras, number 2, at gmail.com. happyzebras2 at gmail.com. At the top, you can even put zombies. And send us the link or a clip or something in relation to that story so we can read it. And we can put it on the air that there's more. And I think you're going to find that there are more if you look around in your paper. Now, everybody's going to say, the guy just beat this one up after he crashed his car and started taking off his clothes, but he was really high, so you're not going to think it's one of them, but I'd really like to read them because you're going to see the similarities between them. The symptoms. If you run across any articles that have these key words in them, this is what they do. They get naked. And I think almost every one was in Rudy's. They get naked, so they're either taking their shirt off and attacking or all their clothes. They're biting. Most of them, almost all of them, are biting the people. And they're attacking the face or the head, and they're biting the arm. They're biting wherever they can reach. Because some of them has pushed them down on the ground, and then they bite their belly. But they usually bite, which kind of reminds me, it's like watching the beginning of Dawn of the Dead now. I don't like it because one of them that I'll read that was real early on, the guy was in a bar, and he got in a fight with a guy, and the guy bit him in the arm and left the bar. And that's exactly how Dawn of the Dead started. I can't get that out of my head. I'm like, what are they telling us? They crashed their car. There's on several occasions where they were driving, they simply stop right there, or they crash into the nearest building, the nearest medium, or whatever, and they stop, get out, get undressed. That's how they do it. They crash their car like they're disoriented. They can't drive. They're saying that Eugene's car was broke down, but what if he could never get the key in to start it to begin with, and he said it was broke down? He might have been disoriented. They all get that way driving. And again, disorientation is another one where they don't know what they're doing. They gouge the eyes out. I've read several articles where they're going after the eyes, like you said.
Again, with the primitive. Yep, a primal state to go after the face to disable their prey, for lack of a better word.
And the eyes would do it. Yep, they go after the eyes. They throw furniture around. They break through doors. With Johnny Lewis, they had to barricade themselves in. They break through doors. They climb to high places. What was Rudy doing? He was climbing. And this is the list that Elizabeth and I made. Okay, this is what we see in every one of these articles. But he climbed to the top of the pole. What did Johnny Lewis do? He climbed to the roof of the house.
Yeah.
And another lady at a YMCA, she climbed to the roof. They had to talk her down. Another guy climbed up to the second story and went out the window, broke a bunch of limbs and kept running, attacked a girl and started gnawing her on the head. I'm sorry, that's not drugs. They don't feel anything. They feel nothing. Falling out a second-story window and then getting up and walking with broken limbs? Are you kidding me? That's beyond drugs. I'm sorry. They growl. Rudy growled. I'll bet
a lot of them growl. A lot of them growl. Yeah.
Again, back to the primal animal thing. Super strength. They said with
primal animal thing. Monkeys, apes are super strong. They're way stronger than any full-grown male human. There's primal there.
And Johnny Lewis is small. I believe he's one like Rudy Eugene, and he's a very small guy. Yeah, he's a little tiny guy. And they said, the men that he tried to fight said that when they hit him, it was like a fly swatter hit him. He didn't even feel it, didn't even budge. He's a small guy.
Yep. What was I just going to say? There was something I wanted to point out so that everybody knew. Johnny Lewis, for anyone that does not know, may refresh your memory. Do you remember way back in Sons of Anarchy, the first or second season?
Yeah, he played in like 15 episodes.
He was in that. He's that. I wanted people to know who he was.
Yeah, he's the actor, who everybody, we'll get into him later.
Yeah,
he's
well, his
another
story
whole
will come
story.
up. Yep.
feels no pain. You smack them, and it's like, what'd you just do? A bug bite me? Get the hell out of here. They got super strength, and they feel no pain. Do you know how that's like the super soldier the military would be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the other thing, the last thing, they attack anything that moves, including their own pets or anybody's pet. They have been. Has anybody ever tried to maul a pit bull? Because these people are, and they're holding them down, and they're eating them. Now, you bite a pit bull and take his skin right off, you tell me that dog's not fighting for his life. And yet a woman held down a pit bull and ate it, tried to eat it, bit it several times. Those are strong people. You there?
I know I messed around with our pit bull to see if I could hold him down. Obviously, I didn't gnaw on him, but, and that was hard. That was hard, though, trying to hold him down. He was fighting and struggling. Yeah, and that's just play. If he was attacking me, it'd be a whole different story.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a big pit bull, so, like,
you can't do it.
It's just how.
How are they doing this? They're taking, small animals, that's the end of them, but a pit bull, they're strong dogs. So it makes no sense to me. This isn't drugs. Now, the video
wasn't there one where a guy tried to, like, gnaw on a Rottweiler?
Yeah, that's how they found him in the middle of the road, naked, eating a Rottweiler.
Yeah.
And the people had to rescue the Rottweiler. They tased the guy several times. Feels no pain. Tasing doesn't work. One guy ripped the things. They tased him, and he ripped them right off and attacked the cop. One guy bit his own finger off. I'm sorry. This isn't drugs. This isn't stories I remember hearing where there was one every week. Because the amount, there's 11 cases just in 2015, and we're only 8 months into it. I don't remember hearing people on drugs doing this. Now, 2012 had 17 cases that year, and these are only what I've found. I'm finding them new almost daily. Like, ever since I've been looking. I'm finding all kinds.
Yep.
That's what started this all up, was that I could not believe. We did a show about a year and a half ago, and everybody called us crazy. It's drugs. It's drugs. It's drugs. We could argue till we were blue in the face. They were all ignorant. They wouldn't listen to us. And then this year, I started finding more and more and more. And I said,
we were finding more in the meantime. Yeah. They've just been building up, and we have new info. Therefore, we need a new show. Here, what we're doing now to update. Now,
the whole thing we did last time, because we had no idea, and now I think I have an idea on why these people are acting this way. But we had no idea. So we were wondering what could be the common denominator. We had cases in America all over the United States. It wasn't in one area. It's from California to Ohio to Massachusetts. It was everywhere.
Miami,
Canada, we were reading a couple of them on Canada, and then 3 of them, I believe, in China, okay? Because at the time it was big news, people eating each other. That's when the zombie apocalypse thing came out. Okay. We had no idea why this was happening, and that was the connection we were trying to make. What do all these people have in common? The only thing that I could think of was the flu shot, because they do that all over the world, the flu shots. And I said, what if somebody sent out a bad batch or something? I don't know. Or maybe the government's testing to see if they can make, if there was a war, could they make people crazy enough?
Super soldier.
Yeah, a super soldier, and they're testing it on civilians randomly. And I don't think it's any of those things. I've come to another conclusion. Another conclusion would be, I don't know if any of you know what CERN is. Over the Hydrogen Collider over in CERN, Switzerland. Okay? This collider, they've been running for years. And they were running it at the time Rudy Eugene did his thing. Now, the argument I have is that they ran it for 6 months, shut it down. They run it for these amounts of times, they shut it down. But in order to run it and introduce it to the public and say, we're going to run it and we're doing great, they had to have tested it. which means they're constantly turning this thing on anyway when they say it's down because they have to test it, right?
Yeah.
Which could be affecting us, or they've done something at CERN, which I'm going to help you to understand what I'm talking about, because I can't explain it really properly, but I have someone that can. That if they let something out in there, what it is they do these super colliders. They're trying to find out how the universe was made, which to me is just flat out dangerous just thinking about that anyway.
It's just stupid.
Because
really?
People are ignorant and they want to recreate creating a universe. Are they nuts? Leave that to God. You're just a human being on a planet of thousands. You don't
billions.
You don't want to billions. You don't want to find out how to create a universe and then try creating it within your own universe. How dare you?
You can't hold a universe inside a universe.
Exactly. So what are they thinking? So this is where keeping Rudy Eugene in mind and all these other things that we're going to go through, because we want to update you. I would love to be able to actually go through them individually so that you understand the same symptoms are there. Doesn't matter how old, what their profession is, whether or not they were on drugs. Okay, it doesn't matter whether they were on drugs or not, because I think it would have happened to them anyway. And I'm wondering if it's demonic possession. And the reason why, if anybody researches CERN, which I highly recommend you go on YouTube, all you got to do is put in CERN, start watching those videos. They're very professionally made. And they will explain a lot.
CERN is spelled CERN, by the way.
Yeah, they were recently in the news.
ERN.
They were recently in the news because they're starting back up again. And when this thing runs, it's going to run. They're going to have it up and running for 3 years straight. And to me, if they've only been running it for 6 months, a year, off and on, or whatever they were doing in the past, 3 years at full speed, which they have never, ever done before. This is the first time ever they've ran it at full speed to find out what, I don't know what they do. I'm not a scientist, but they're doing these atom collision things to discover more about science. I'm not even interested because I don't think that's really anybody's area. I think that should be left to God. But the problem is they can open up portholes and they can let things through. And I'm gonna let this guy. I'm gonna put this. Let me see. 13 minutes. This thing is going to explain to you what CERN is in a way that I can't. That I'm trying to. When you're finished with that, then this is my connection that I think they brought something through. I think things are here and they're possessing people or they're affecting them in some way, because it sure sounds like possession whenever I hear these or read about these things. And I think this is why. I really think CERN has pulled something over from the other side, and they're not going to tell us. There's no way they're going to tell us, and we've got a 3-year run coming up that I think is dangerous. But let's see if you can follow me to see if this makes any sense to you. But first you got to understand what CERN is, and I've been watching so many videos, it's like I might as well move there. Because I just live with it every night as I'm watching these videos, trying to understand this machine. And I've come to the conclusion this has to be what's happening. It is affecting everybody everywhere. Oh, yeah, which reminds me. So we looked up and found a website where the UK had statistics on crime. And in these statistics was biting. People were biting each other. This is over in Europe. And it said that the biting during crimes had increased 200-fold. I'll never forget that number because it's like, whoa, it's like it went from 0 to everybody's doing it. Well, I went over because I was going to print out the article so I'd know what I was talking about when I ran into what's going on, because I can't find any articles over in the UK about people tearing each other apart. I know they are everywhere, but you can't find the articles. Probably a blackout on it if they're privy to what CERN is doing and how it's affecting us. The government would have a blackout on it, and it's not there anymore. They took it down. Why would you take that down? That's an important statistic, but they took it down. So that angered me, and I said, that means they're having the same problem there as we're having in the United States. That's happening in Canada. That's happening in China. Okay, let's listen to this 13 minutes, and this is going to explain to you in a very short amount of time, but very clearly, how dangerous this machine is. And if you don't know anything about it, you better start looking it up, because it is going to affect the way we live. I don't know why, but it will. It already is if this is actually affecting people this way.
Hey. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to let you know, when you play things, keep it at a slight distance, but not too far away, because it's hard to hear it.
I have no control over that. It's a switch.
Oh, really? Okay. All right, then yeah.
You can't hear it on your phone? I heard the theme music perfectly.
Oh, on my phone it sounded like it was really low, but I can hear you just fine, so I thought maybe it was the way it was working on your system there.
All right, let me play this easy explanation. I'm going to turn it all the way up. Let's see, hopefully you won't have to strain.
Okay.
And here we go. This guy's going to explain what CERN is so that you understand when I start talking about CERN in relation to these cases, why I'm putting this together this way.
Anybody ready to go down a rabbit hole? Okay, here we go. Strap on that hat, ladies and gentlemen, and grab the hand of the person next to you, because we're about to enter the Twilight Zone. There is an organization called CERN, and CERN is an acronym, and it is located it's so large, in CERN, Switzerland, which is right around Geneva, okay? And what I want to point out to you, I want to explain to you, is that CERN was started, man, I forgot my notes here, but I think it was back in 1954, I believe, September 29th, 1954, amazingly, on the Feast of Trumpets. I'm sure that was a coincidence as well. And it was also started by 12 countries. And so you have 12 countries on Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the Hebrew calendar, the biblical calendar. I believe, in a way, if it means anything, prophetically, of symbolizing Israel, the anti-Israel. Because what you have to learn about CERN Switzerland, what's in CERN Switzerland, is this company called CERN, and what they have is the largest hadron collider in the world. What's a hadron collider? What you're looking at right here is a 17-mile radius. Here's some pictures of a hadron collider that takes proton particles and puts them at almost the speed of light, 99.99999% of the speed of light, which is 286,400 miles per second. And it puts them in circles going around each other, and then through giant magnets, which are 100,000 times stronger than the gravitational pull of the Earth, they force these particles to collide. What they're trying to do, you can see a picture of it there. Look, does that not look out something out of Star Trek? 10,000 connections just in that picture right there. 300 feet below ground. And this is where these beams of light will collide. What are they trying to do? They are trying to collide these beams and find what's called the God particle. They want to find the beginning of the universe. They want to replicate the Big Bang theory and the Big Bang, and collide these and find out what comes off of them. Because what you have is you have matter, that's what you see right now. Then you have antimatter, which is what you can't see. And you have dark matter. And what they're trying to discover is what's holding together matter that they can't see. Now, our Bible says is what? It's the Word. There's a spiritual dimension to the physical dimension, and that's what's holding everything together. What they want to do is find and separate that. So they want to separate the natural from what we call the supernatural, which is simply just the natural of something super. They want to separate that, and they want to isolate that. Here's the problem with that. When you separate the natural from and here's another picture of it. When you separate the natural from the supernatural, you don't know what you're going to find. Because The way that Scripture defines matter and antimatter is that you have matter that is connected to positive spiritual energy from God, and then you have matter that is connected to negative energy. That's the demonic realm. And within every human being out there, including objects, the occult does this quite well, is that they can attach demonic spirits or negative energy to specific objects. And you say, well, that's supernatural. How many remember Peter and the rag? Prayed over the rag? Or actually, they took rags from Peter and Apostle Paul, and just the clothing that he's wearing is so anointed and connected to positive energy from Yahweh that when people touched it, they were healed. In the same way, the occult will take voodoo dolls or put curses on objects, and they're literally placing demonic energy and attaching the natural with the supernatural for whatever intended result they have. Well, I'm pretty sure that their intentions are not Holy Spirit driven. So whatever they collide and they separate, it's probably not going to be a positive experience. So you say, oh, Jim, you're reading into this. By the way, these are people that invented the World Wide Web. They invented it. And you can look it up on Wikipedia. They invented it for universities and for their own laboratories to be able to connect documents and information very quickly, all on one server. It was basically kind of like an intranet for all of these computers around the world to be able to share information simultaneously. Out of that came what we call the internet. This is the kind of people that we're dealing with, very, very technologically advanced. A large portion of CERN is located in the territory of St. Genus Poli. In Roman times, it was called Apolliacum. The town and the temple were dedicated to Apollyon, the destroyer, Shiva, or Horus. The very city that CERN is sitting on is the ancient temple to the god Apollyon, which is today in the Hindu temples Shiva, which is the goddess of destruction and recreation. Destruction of what? It's the only goddess, catch this, out of the thousands of gods that are out there, it is the only one, the only deity that claims to destroy the universe for the purpose of recreating it. It's it. So would it shock you to discover, let's read this out of Revelation. To him who was given the key of the bottomless pit, he opened the bottomless pit, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue his name is Apollyon. The bottomless pit is connected, according to our Bible, to the god Apollyon, which is Hasatan himself. And the very temple of Apollyon is sitting right dead center in CERN. Here's CERN's logo. Now I'm going to stretch this just for a little bit, but if you look at this, you will see 666. As a matter of fact, I looked at this for a long time, like, oh, wait a minute, there's more than 3 sixes, and then I discovered, no, there's not. There's only 3 actual 6s, and there's 2 9s. I don't know what that means, but maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know about you, but if I'm creating a logo, I really don't want it to resemble 666. But they did. So this is the epicenter, or the facility, the main headquarters of CERN, right here. That's their logo right there. And outside of their main headquarters, this is amazing to me. It is the only corporation in the world that has a deity as its mascot. Because corporations don't like to be connected to religion. They just don't. But this is the largest of its kind, and the deity that is found outside of its headquarters is Shiva. Ancient Apollyon, the goddess of destruction. And if you look very careful, this is thousands of years old. If you look carefully, what does that look like? It looks like the exact picture of the Stargate that they're creating 300 foot below ground of the collider. In their own videos, they use it. Just so you might think that I'm not crazy here, the director of research in scientific computing at CERN has this to say about the colliding. Something may come through dimensional doors at LHC, and out of this door might come something, or we might send something through it. Why is that so important? Because you have to understand, you can read all of this on their website, the purpose of CERN for the last 60 years has been to open up a portal of time-space. They want to open up a black hole, what's called a miniature black hole, because when you collide these two, theoretically, it will tear open the time-space continuum for as little as 3 seconds, as much as 26 seconds. That was 6 years ago that they determined this. And it will create what's called a miniature black hole. Something will come through. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know if a black hole is a good idea. Every movie that I've watched that has a black hole, something goes in and never comes back. Black holes are like giant vacuum cleaners. The smallest one can suck the entire earth into it, just like that. It's something that we can't understand. It's not in our normal computing brain power to wrap our brain around a small microscopic wormhole that could suck our universe into it, everything that's around it. But that's how it works. This is what they're trying to do. Ultimately, the goal of CERN, you can read it on their own website, their goal is time travel. That's what they want to do. Every movie that you've ever watched is not science fiction. It's there for a reason. Go back and watch it. You'll see that all of the time travel from 25 years ago to cartoon movies are using the very Hadron Collider symbol as their Stargate. Coincidence? I don't know. All I know is that it's very interesting that how many didn't even know of CERN, never even heard of it before? That we have, can you imagine that? We are living in a day where we don't even know that this organization exists, and their main goal is to open up a black hole, of which they admit from the head director of research and scientific development, they don't know what could come from the other side. I don't know about you, but Revelation says if it's connected, there is something on the other side, and it's called a polyon. And our Bible says that at the end of time, that the Nephilim or these demonic beings are going to come out of the bottomless pit. Can I just suggest, possibly, is it possible that we are the ones responsible at holding the key? Could it be that we actually do it to ourselves? That knowledge increases to such a level that we figure out how to get the key to the bottomless pit and open it, but we don't know what we're doing because the enemy, the evil spirits that are running this race, which are the spirits of the Nephilim or the giants, they are working on behalf of the fallen angels, which are in a bottomless pit right now. And they're manipulating the minds of man, giving them all of this technology to open up the key for their buddies. Just a thought. Y'all are going to sleep good tonight. When is their next collision scheduled for? Would it shock you? September 2015. They will be ramping up the largest Hadron Collider project in the history of the collider. It's already started. It takes months to ramp up because there's so many circles they have to go to, magnets, to ramp up the speed to light speed. And it's going to hit its apex in the end of September this year. They're going to hit a collision.
And there you have it. That's
oh man.
Yeah. Is that scary or what? They could have let something out already. They could have let some of the demons through, and they're not saying, and those demons are just roaming around, possessing people. Or there's something from the magnets that is going out into the world, because ever since they've started, we've had some major earthquakes. Japan was one. The ground has been shaking like crazy. I thought it was the fracking. Maybe
well,
not.
I can't imagine that giant machine, 17 miles in diameter, isn't vibrating the ground enough to cause an earthquake.
Yep, exactly. And what about the sinkholes? It's shifting our axis. It's doing something. But the magnets could be affecting the world too, where the way people think. I don't know what people succumb to it, or why those are the people that do. But he's like he said, they're going to run it at the end of September, full force. Oh God, is that the same spider that was on the other side of the wall? It's a spider that's been roaming in my room. I'm going to leave it.
Oh gosh, he's going to
black.
sleep with you tonight.
I think he's already bit me, but he lived. So anyway,
lovely.
What if either the magnets are affecting our brain waves, and somehow some of us are really affected by it? What if they have let something out, and demonically they are possessing people? We've only talked about one case. And what were we going to start with? Because I want to show them that this is an ongoing thing, and it's going to get worse. It's going to increase. I was listening to this guy, Paul Bagley, who worked for CERN, and he was describing it, and he said that dark matter chases the light matter, the light matter, the good matter, white matter, whatever it is, and that dark matter will affect people's thoughts and how they behave. And since it is dark, means it's the negative. Everybody has negative and positive inside them. The more positive thoughts you have, the more you lighten up the area that's around you. The more negative thoughts you have, you could talk yourself into a depression. Some people have troubles and things go wrong, and they're just light as a feather and they get right through it, and other people just dwell on it and dwell on it and dwell on it. And when you're around a person that's depressed, really negative, and always talking down about everything, you just want to get away from them. You don't want to be in their space. Well, if they've let something out of that dark matter already, it's going to be evil. It's going to be the bad of the bad, and it's going to go after everybody. It's not going to. It's just, to me, isn't going to matter how old you are, what you do. You need to get right with God. This guy says that if you surround yourself with the love of God, it can't penetrate you, but that's hard to do when you're stressed out every day to just think about God, which means at some point everybody is liable to be attacked. Yeah, they're vulnerable.
Vulnerable.
They're vulnerable to it. And they don't even know it's going to happen. You can't tell me that if Rudy Eugene for a minute thought he was going to swing around a thing and eat a guy's face for 18 minutes that day, he'd have been in a hospital. He would have said, something's wrong with me. It happens too quickly, which when we reach Johnny Lewis, we'll show you just how quickly it happens from being normal to flipping out. So we can already dispute and dismantle the idea that there's drugs are involved, because you just read his autopsy. There are no drugs involved. When we hit Johnny Lewis, we can read you another autopsy. No drugs involved. Everybody was sure as shit that guy's on drugs. He just got out of a rehab. I said there's no way that man's on drugs because he just got out of a rehab. Because when you first get out of a rehab, you're already set and go and going to conquer the world. And he had just gotten out 3 days prior. He wasn't on any drugs. And so they proved it with the autopsy. And why did we hear about their autopsies and nobody else's? I'll tell you why. Everybody demanded what happened to Rudy. Now, after they found out there was no drugs involved, we never got an answer, and nobody ever asked, which was really strange. I'm still asking. It's been, 4 years? 3 years.
Something like that,
Yeah. I can't get it out of my head that we don't have an answer to this.
Almost 4 years, yeah.
Yep.
I still question it. It's not right to me. Even the stories
No.
that keep coming up, I shouldn't have to question it.
No, and they're not testing half the people. They're assuming that this is what happened. They're just assuming, and then they never follow up on them. With Johnny Lewis, they had to give you his autopsy because he's a famous person. That's the only reason, and thank God that God didn't allow them to hide those in any way, because it proves right there. There's your proof. Here's 2 cases, identical. And neither one of them was on drugs. So you cannot tell me all the others.
I'd say it was 2 of the most severe cases we've had yet, but there are some pretty bad ones.
No, there's equally severe cases out there that we're going to read, okay? But people are saying, oh, on drugs. One of them said, drunk. How can you be drunk and attack somebody and bite their nose off? You don't do that when you're drunk. You'd be fought. They're like, oh, he got really drunk, really drunk. Really? Well, then smack him and he'll fall down if he's really drunk. Because they can't stand up. They fall down. You can't fight when you're drunk. You ever tried it? I did once. Another one of my past histories, but that was years ago. I'm 53 now, and I'm all grown up.
Everybody has stories from when they were younger.
Yeah, that's why I'm not embarrassed to say it.
Yeah.
But this also gives me an avenue to say, hey, I experienced that. There's no way that could have happened. Been there, done that. Didn't happen. No way. All my friends been there, done that. Didn't happen. So we did, Rudy, where's that one about that video that the people can go look at? I want to tell them about that.
Video?
They need to go watch this guy. The guy in the psych unit. Now, they're all going to say they're crazy. This is another thing you guys are going to do. You're going to say, but that guy's schizophrenic. He's crazy. No, watch this guy. There's something wrong with him. So now we can use every different kind of excuse we want, but they're all doing the same thing. So therefore, the excuses that this one's schizo, that one's an alcoholic, this one's always been violent, this one was in a rehab, this one must be doing drugs, and this one was doing drugs. Maybe the drugs are irrelevant to what's going on. Maybe they just happened to be on drugs at the time. Some of them, because not everybody was. Some of them are known not to do drugs at all, but yet they freaked out. Nobody's given us an answer why. And I think everybody needs to know this information to protect yourself, because they are going to start that machine up. And if I'm right, that machine has something to do with the way people are behaving. We're going to see a lot more of this at the end of the year. Now, they're probably going to try to hide it from us, but I'm going to try to uncover them all. Okay, let me see. I had it written down. Do you have it there by any chance?
I do not have it, no.
Schizophrenic. Here we are. Okay, you got to go to, did I write it down, I hope? Okay, he was 40 years old. He was under surveillance because there's, I don't think there's an article on that. I think it was just I wanted them to go to YouTube, put in, this happened in Turkey, Liz.
Turkey?
This was in a Turkey hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought it was 2011, isn't it? Isn't that what I said? Yes, here it is. Schizophrenic. He was evaluated on May 28th. Rudy Eugene happened, May 28th, 2011. That was before Rudy Eugene. Exactly a year. Rudy Eugene was May 26, 2012. A year prior to that, in 2011, the guy's in a room just being evaluated. They put him with another man. If that man was dangerous, they wouldn't have put him with another guy sleeping on the next cot. So the other guy, the victim, is sleeping. This one sits up for God knows how long, just staring at the guy, just sitting there staring at him, and then he just attacks him, and he bites him. And you can watch the whole thing on YouTube. Put in YouTube, schizophrenic attacks man, and it's going to be there. He's a 40-year-old guy. I don't think it's his schizophrenia that did that, because he was biting him. He was attacking him and biting him. and he wasn't stopping. When they pulled the guy out of the room and left him there, he sat back on the bed and just sat there. And it was like, you're watching these videos of these demonically possessed people, and I do believe this is demonic possession. He might have been schizophrenic, but he was only being evaluated, so he wasn't a threat. When they brought him in, if they thought he was a threat, he'd have had his own cell, his own room. And he didn't, and that's what strikes me odd about that. They did not consider that guy a threat. And he attacked him and bit him, and you can look at that. And that was a year before Rudy Eugene. Now, remember what this guy said? They've been running for years. They've been running this machine. And like I said, even if we didn't know it was running because they have to practice. They have to test run it. See?
Yep.
All right, so Rudy Eugene was 2012. There was, what was the earliest?
17 cases.
Oh, my God.
In 2012.
Starting with, where's my papers? I have it buried. I have so many papers. What's that? 2014. This is like, we got them for every year, guys. Bear with us for a second. You know now what the Colliders does, okay, and what they're trying to do over there. And like you said, you can go to CERN, put in CERN, and you can pull up their website and read it for yourself. June 13th, is that the first one you've got?
June 13.
What's the first one?
No, the first one I have. Actually, yeah, no, that is the first one. Never mind. Yep,
yeah,
it is.
Because this is Rudy. Oh, yeah, the other thing about Rudy. Oh, no, I'll get into how stupid these people are about drugs. Oh, God. The cop said that when he yelled at Eugene to back away from the guy, the naked man, meaning Eugene, merely raised his head with pieces of flesh in his mouth, growled, and began chewing again. By the way, they had to shoot Rudy Eugene 3 times before they put him down.
Yep.
They shot him 3 times, and he kept eating that guy's face. 18 minutes worth. The next one after Rudy, as far as I can see, because I'm sure there's more out there, and we're just not getting them. This is interesting. Here's your headlines. Growling woman tasered, dies in suspected bath salt incident. There's your word, growling, right off the bat. Let's put away the bath salts, okay? Because that's out of the question anyway. Pamela McCarthy appeared to be growling as she punched and choked her 3-year-old son, according to state police. She's punching her son. She chases neighbors, stripped off her clothes, choked her pit bull, and attempted to bite a state trooper while shot of pepper spray did not faze her. Holy shit. You're telling me this is drugs. Does it sound similar
pepper spray,
to Eugene?
pepper spray is pepper spray no matter what drugs you're on. It affects the eyes. Why was she not affected? It burns.
She was not affected.
It hurts no matter who you are.
Yep. Then they used a taser on her to slow down the woman, but the only reason I think she slowed down is because she died of cardiac arrest when she was tasered. She happened to have a bad heart. So here's a woman with a bad heart who's doing all of this, and then when they tased her, she finally had a heart attack. She was only 35 years old. Now, this is what they say in the article. This is a lie, people. Do not believe it. Investigators believe 35-year-old McCarthy was high on synthetic drugs known as bath salts when a series of events began to escalate around 7:45 p.m. So now we're at about 8 o'clock at night. She's with her kid, and she flips. The latest in a series of bizarre and disturbing behavior that has brought nationwide attention to the, ready for this, hallucinogenic designer drug. This is how much you don't know about bath salts. You don't hallucinate on them. You don't. I never hallucinated.
No.
There was no hallucination. It's more like doing some meth. No.
Sped up
so
a
right
little
off
bit.
the bat, they're wrong about the drug altogether, right there. I never hallucinated unless somebody tried to reinvent it and make it themselves. But I doubt that a mother sitting home with her kid with a heart condition is doing bath salts and hallucinating on bath salts. Recently, a Miami man stripped naked, chewed off the face of a homeless man. We remember that in May 26. Now, let's look at the dates. May 26 to June 13. What is that? 2 weeks? 2 weeks apart.
Something like that.
She's in Munnsville, Tennessee.
2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks. He's in Florida. She's in, I think it's Tennessee. It's about 2.5 weeks. She's in Munnsville, Alabama or Tennessee. Either way, it's not near California. I forget where Munnsville is. She weighed 200 pounds, by the way.
Wow.
Wow. Wouldn't want. I would tase her and pepper her, and I'd shoot her. I'd shoot her like a dog that she's eating. 200 pounds. He had no choice but to tase her. She was really not coherent to what was going on around her. So you know what she was doing? What did I say? They chase anything. She went from the kid, and when she saw the neighbors playing, if I recall in the first article I read, the kids were playing basketball when she stumbled down the stairs, slapping the kid.
Yeah, stumbled down the stairs. No, she stumbled down the stairs, and when she hit the bottom with the child is when she snapped out and started attacking the child.
Yeah.
And then the dog, and then the kid.
Off, and she immediately went after the kids that were playing ball, and when the dog went by, she changed her. See what she's doing? She goes from the kid to these kids that are standing there she catches her eye on. A dog walks by, she runs after the dog. Doesn't matter who it is. Any kind of movement in their attention, which still reminds me of Dawn of the Dead. The guy runs after the car, and then he sees the neighbor standing there with a coffee cup, and he goes after her.
And goes after him, yep.
This is what it reminds me of. That was only 2 weeks between. That's like a big start. It started to roll. Charles Baker got naked, ate flesh of Jeffrey Blake during a visit with his children. He's going to go visit his kids on bath salts? Yeah, I guess people do get high and go visit their kids because they're blaming this on drugs too. But he got naked, barged into the girlfriend's house during a visit, so I'm confused about this story, to be honest with you. Bit a chunk out of the man's arm, ate it, then powered through several cop-deployed tasers, before getting tackled and arrested.
Yeah,
and
so that's
great.
He's
Miami again.
He's trying to help the custody situation by doing drugs and attacking his fucking family, you know? Sorry, but that makes a lot of sense, huh, you know?
Some people might, but he's going to visit his kids. They said they don't know if the kids witnessed it. Well, I would imagine. What was he barging into a house he was going to visit anyway? Now, you might think he's angry because there's a guy there with his ex-wife, right? No. The only reason he went after that guy is because that guy tried to pull him off, it says. Jeffrey Blake, 48, who lives at the home, tried to stop the madness, but Baker reportedly chewed a slab of flesh off Blake's arm. Somehow he was able to restrain him until cops arrived. They don't say how. After he bites him, and he was only trying to stop him from going after whoever. He was throwing furniture around the room and taking off his clothes. He was at the beginning of it when he barged in there. Why do they take their clothes off? They're heating up. They're heating up on the inside, apparently. They have to be.
Something like that. It's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. This is in Florida, too. Now, how hot is it in Florida? And if this is in well, hell.
Well, if they go back to a primitive state, maybe the clothes are uncomfortable to them, so they have to take them off. It's uncomfortable. They don't like the feeling of the clothes on them. Yeah. Cavemen didn't wear clothes. Once upon a time, we were naked.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they're going to a primitive state, maybe their clothes are the first thing that irritates them, so they go after their clothes, and then their attention's on the next thing.
Here's your telltale signs: yelling, throwing furniture, taking off the clothes, barging in, and then biting. The violence didn't end there. Baker was allegedly going wild, tensing his body. That's another sign that I forgot about. They tensed their body up. Screaming at police. The officer deployed a taser on Baker, and he fell. Got back up, pulled out the probes. The officer used a handheld stun gun, not once, but twice, before he was able to subdue the apparent crazed Baker. He was taken to a hospital, obviously, for evaluation before he went to jail. He was allegedly high on unknown drugs during the melee. It's unclear if the kids saw it. This is the third case of flesh biting in Florida, similar to Miami incident, in as many as weeks. You're telling me they can't put something together here? Well, I guess not, because at the time, Rudy Eugene's autopsy hadn't come back yet. So they were still under the impression this has to be a drug that's going around. And
well, in the original case, the speculation before the autopsy, sure. But once the autopsy come back and the tox results came back, then that begins to be questionable. And then when it's a repeat offense, every couple weeks there's a new case similar to it. You're right. They should be questioning this.
Yeah. But right now they think it's drugs. But once that autopsy came back, they should have said this is out of hand. There's something else going on here. But they're not talking about it, and they never, ever once sought an answer to Rudy Eugene. So how much you want to bet that the Army came in and took that body out you looked at?
This suspect here, Giovanni Martinez.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says allegedly bit into the arm of a hospital nurse and threatened to eat the hospital staff's face off.
Like that guy in Miami. And that's the third case. 1, 2, 3, that's the fourth case. Are they forgetting
and
about
he bit the nurse as well. He didn't just bite the other guy.
We don't know why he was in there. I don't know if we have his. I don't think we have his. It would have been before this one. No, we don't have his. We got to look him up. Giovanni Martinez. We got to look that guy up. Get some details on that one. That's another one we missed. Do you see what I mean? They're out there. And that was Saturday. They're saying that was the third case, but it wasn't the third case. They don't know about Pamela McCarthy, the one I just described, choking her kid.
Yeah.
Slapping her kid and going after the kids and choking her dog. Okay? So that was number 4. That was number 4. So there's one in between this that we totally missed. That's interesting.
Jesus.
We don't know what these people were doing minutes before that happened either. We can't. The girlfriend of Rudy Eugene is an idiot. First, I swear to God, she said that they lived together is what I thought. The next video I see when she's addressing everybody, we don't live together. So I don't know what the hell she's talking about. She said he woke up at 5 o'clock acting erratic, looking for his Bible, and then left the house at 10 to go to his Miami fair that he was going to go to. And then, in the second time I saw her being interviewed, she said she hadn't seen him at all, so she changed her story. I want people that saw them right prior to that. And the only case I can see where that happened was Johnny Lewis, but we'll get to him. So let's go on to another one. There's 4. Now, let's see. That's 6/21, 13, 2 weeks.
Yep.
Every 2 weeks so far.
No,
and there was
12.
one in between that.
That's 12. 6/21/12, and then then we go into June 26th, 12.
June 13th.
Yeah.
Go backwards. June 13th was the woman with the kid. Okay.
Yes.
2 weeks later, or approximately 6/21, is this guy who went to visit his kids. In the meantime, in between them two, was Giovanni Martinez.
Yes.
That's 3 in 2 weeks. Come on, people. Like, this isn't noticeable.
And 5 days later is our next one.
5 days later. It's 1 a week. Easy.
Yep.
Texas. This is in Texas. Man tripping on synthetic pot goes wild. Attacks family, neighbors, then eats the family dog alive. Wow, this is just a drug? We got one a week, more than one a week, and then we're calling it a drug. Everybody's just into this drug. Well, for one thing, I don't know about synthetic pot. I don't smoke pot, but they said he's tripping on it. Synthetic marijuana. I know of Spice or K2. I know a lot of people that, I've heard people say they smoke.
I'll admit I've tried it before, and it does mess you up, but not to the point where you're going to snap out and eat people's flesh. You might throw up, you might pass out. That's about it. It doesn't make you go erratic.
Yeah, snapped and went zombie. Now they're using that word on a regular basis. While tripping on a designer drug. He ate the family dog while the pooch was still alive. I'm sorry. That is dramatic when you have 4 other cases right before him in a row. In a row. And you notice they went from bath salts now, they went to synthetic pot. See how they're changing it up? It's a different drug now. This was actually happened on June 14th. Okay, June 14th. That was the day after the Munnsville incident with Pamela McCarthy. That was the day after her, because it says here at his home on July 14th. Wow, that's one a day now. When he suddenly started attacking his family members and neighbors, running around on all 4s. What did you say, going primal? Running around on all 4s and barking and growling like an animal. Remember, Rudy Eugene growled. That other guy growled. This is the 3rd one we've read out of 5 with a growling.
Yeah. Primitive, animal-like.
Yeah, he grabbed the family's dog, he beat it, choked it, and then bit off chunks of its flesh. Come on, people. If you have articles in your hometown, we want to hear about it. We will put them on the air and let people know where it's happening, when it's happening. If you heard about it a year ago, try to find that article. You can put in your town or whatever you need to, because I think they're in individual newspapers. They're pegged as just druggies, and the mainstream media is not picking it up in saying that there's more than whatever is happening. Because remember, this was all new after Rudy Eugene. Everybody was going crazy bringing them out. Then it starts to slow down. I think you guys, if you look in your hometown papers, will find more cases. Just these telltale sales, these tell signs. Attacking, growling, biting, disorientation. Police found him on the front porch with blood smeared on his face and clothes. They took him to a hospital. What calmed him down? He just suddenly stopped and sat down.
Snapped out of it suddenly?
Yeah, they start and stop really fast. And some of them that did horrific things, they'll tell that. I saw one, I think it was DeLeon we'll talk about. He said, I don't remember anything. He's the second one, and one recently that said, I don't remember anything. I don't remember any of it. 1 minute I'm doing this, the next I'm standing, in jail or in a psych unit. They don't remember any of it. So why are they blacking out and acting like this? Something's happening to them. The plague of synthetic pot. Oh, shut up. I'm not even going to read that. Okay, it's known for triggering a quick, intense high that is often accompanied by paranoia, anxiety, agitation, and convulsions. If you're going to go into convulsions, why aren't these people? If they're that high, why aren't they going into a convulsion? They're getting tasered.
Yep.
They have super strength. They're sweating their ass off, I would think, because they're stripping. They are growling. Why aren't they going into, if that's true, why aren't they going into convulsions? I'll tell you why. Because some people may get paranoid on synthetic pot, agitated, paranoid and everything, but then they flip over to too high and they go into a convulsion. They don't attack. That's interesting. Anybody who is on a synthetic, call in. Let us know. I want to know how you felt. Seriously. Ripping pieces of the dog's flesh away. Blood and fur around the mouth when the cops arrived. He says Daniel allegedly. Now, I want everybody to notice that everything is allegedly, okay? This guy was out of sorts, okay? He had to be taken to a hospital. Daniel allegedly told neighbors he was high on synthetic marijuana. You know what he probably said? Yeah, I got high. And then, which would have nothing to do with when he flipped over. So does that mean that he flipped over really fast? If the neighbors remember him saying that he was getting high? What if he always got high and he just happened to be high when this happened?
Yeah.
See what I mean? What if he always smoked it? No big deal. But on this occasion, he happened to get affected by CERN. I'm going to say that. There's nothing saying the drug's doing it. Because I doubt that 200-pound woman with a heart condition is snorting. And you notice there's no follow-up on her. I couldn't find any follow-up to say what her autopsy said. See, we're not hearing about her autopsy because she's just a big, fat mommy. She's not famous. Nobody saw it. So we don't have to follow up. See?
Yep.
Okay, so now we got, in fact, I'm going to write that down. What we have so far is bath salts as a reason. Watch these reasons, you guys are going to die. Bath salts and synthetic pot. That's all. They'll blame every kind of synthetic. Okay, next one. July 1st. What's the time on that one?
4:20 p.m.
June 14th to July 4th. Hey, June 14th to July 1st, that's 2 weeks.
Is
this
it really?
This is the New York Daily News. Yeah, that's 2 weeks, 14th to the 1st.
Oh.
So 2 weeks pass. A drunken bus driver. I want you to remember they're blaming alcohol. I got to write that down. Alcohol on this. A drunken bus driver was detained in China after he attacked a woman in her car and bit her face. Did you guys ever see the pictures? You know, you can go online and find the pictures to this, too. He really did a number on her. The summer's cannibal craze. Oh, yeah, people really want to go around eating people. And it's spread to China. Here's a newspaper that's saying it's spreading to China. Now, what do they all have in common? America and China. I thought it had to be the flu shot, right? No, but we have CERN. Excuse me, we have CERN.
Right in between us, isn't it?
With Switzerland.
Isn't that, it's on the coast on the left side of the...
It's affecting the whole world. Between the earthquakes and everything, the sinkholes are everywhere. It's affecting everybody. I just think it's all over. It's just all over. I mean, that machine's huge. And all the frequencies and all the vibrations, whatever it's doing, or, hey, like I said, if they let out some demons, they're bouncing from people to people. We don't know what they let out of there. And they're going to let more out, according to the guy. That the guy said, we're going to run it at full speed, and we don't know what's going to happen. That's sad. Okay, a drunken bus driver chewed off a woman's face during an attack Tuesday afternoon. This is in the middle of the afternoon. A man identified as Dong ran into the road near a bus station. Okay, can somebody explain this to me? It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He's a bus driver at a bus station. Is he on the job and he stopped for lunch?
That's questionable.
He's at a bus station and he's a bus driver. It's 2 in the afternoon. He jumps in front of a woman's car. The man hopped on the hood, started pounding on the woman's windshield. Oh, by the way, guys, that's another symptom I forgot to tell you about. They like to pound glass. Just like
an ape.
World War Z. That's another movie that kind of scares me because every single thing that I read in these articles is in World War Z, and I'm not even kidding. Go watch these movies. Maybe they knew that this was going to happen. Okay, so then the woman, identified as Do, they have weird names, got out of the car, tackled her, and began chewing her face. So he jumps on her car, bangs her windshield. She jumps out and says, "What the hell are you doing?" And ba-boom, bada-bing, bada-boom. He jumps her, and he starts chewing her face. What did you say? They go after the face first, primal.
Yep.
They show a deranged bus driver straddling the helpless woman on the ground. Witnesses said they tried to stop the attack, but Dong was going crazy and overpowered them. If that means that he was super strong. He's super strong.
Yep.
He's climbing up on something. He's banging the windshield. He attacks the woman's face.
Fighting.
And it was probably the first car that just happened to pull up in front of him. They don't know each other. He didn't pick her out. It was just he was standing there, and then boom, started attacking the first thing in front of him. The woman was taken to the hospital with tears to her lips, nose, and would need plastic surgery to repair her face. You ready for the
That's
reason?
bad.
Yeah, that's real bad. They got her. He got her. He would have done to her what Eugene did to that homeless man if nobody was around.
Yep.
That was in public, on a street. He was having lunch. If I remember the first article I ever read, he was having lunch. Yeah, it says it right here. Okay. The reason, the cop said, the man drank heavily during lunch with pals before the attack. So he had a few He had a few drinks at lunch, and it's lunchtime, okay, with his pals. You know what that tells me? He's a bus driver at a bus station, and he's having lunch with his pals.
Have you ever gotten drunk?
Work.
Have you ever gotten drunk or even had a few drinks and felt the need or even attempted to chew a face?
I know. He drank heavily. They have no other explanation. He must have been drunk.
I've drank heavily before.
This is a man that I think he was on the job. I don't even think he was drinking. I think that's what they said to say. I have a feeling that he was on lunch on his job, and he was getting ready to leave and go back to work. And he snapped between the table and saying goodbye and the sidewalk. That's how fast this happens. China, 2 weeks after the last guy in Texas. This is amazing. And he's drunk. Drunk. He did all that, almost like Rudy Eugene, and he's drunk. 3 guys could have pulled him off if he was drunk.
Yeah. It affects your motor skills. He has enough motor skills to eat a face.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Can't be done. Well, guys, this is only 2012. 33. I got an 11-minute video I wanted to play because we got a ton more cases. We're going to go into another show maybe this week, but look for it. Follow us. If you have any articles you know about, if you've heard of any cases in your area that might not be getting out, get the details, email them to us at happyzebras with an S, number 2 at Gmail, or you can even contact us through the email on Blog Talk. I think CERN is doing this, but let's see what this preacher has to say, because this is and has to do with religion if you're letting demons out through some black hole, and whether they know it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have a statue of Shiva. Why would scientists have a religious icon in front of their building? And one of destruction. Remember I said they wanted to try to make another universe? Well, they're doing something pretty serious.
Well, they're trying to destroy us, that's for sure.
Destroy us to rebuild us? Are they nuts? They're going with us. Are they stupid? Something happens to us, it happens to them. They're idiots. What did God? Did the devil promise them they'd be exempt? He's a liar of liars. Are they nuts? It's like dating a serial killer. Kill you anytime. Yes, I love you, honey. Goes your throat. I don't think our universe is going to blow up or anything, but I do believe that they've let something out, and it's dynamically possessing people. Should I save that for the next show, that 11-minute clip?
Yeah. Yeah. Because we got a couple more things to go through, and we got, what, a half hour left?
Yes. And I want to remind people continuously about CERN. They need to understand the seriousness. I'd love it if they went out and watched these videos and that can help you understand what they're doing there and why people that know about it are scared. I knew the minute I heard about it that there's something wrong with that picture. They shouldn't be doing that. And so I started researching it. You got to research things. That's how we found all these cases. Most people don't know about these cases. They think it's isolated. Oh, it's one case here, one case there. No. And the idea that drugs are not involved, that's very important. This guy was not said to have drugs in his system, this Chinaman. They're saying he was drunk doing exactly what those that they're saying was on bath salts to synthetic pot to some 200-pound mom with a heart condition running through the neighborhood naked. She wasn't doing bath salts. Next one. And look at the timelines. That one in China was July 1st. The next one we have in Portland, Oregon, USA, is on July 5th, 5 days later. And I bet there's some in between, and we just don't know about it. You don't have that one?
I do not have that one.
July 5th, Portland, Oregon, 45 years old. Now, you're going to hear about people, and right now it seems to be between 30 and 40 that we're hearing about, but there's 18, 19, 22, 26. You know, they're all ages. And that brings me to question, which I'd like to get through throughout our episodes as we have shows. I want to know, are the children being affected? I want to know who's vulnerable, why are they vulnerable, and are our pets going to turn on us? Does it affect the mind of a dog, for instance, who was a beautiful house pet and now is biting everybody in the neighborhood? Because they're already on all fours growling. We wouldn't know.
Yeah. That's just a mean dog. Stay away from that one.
Yeah. And maybe some pit bull attacking his family members or his owners might actually not be a mauling. Yeah, it's a mauling, but I mean, it might not even be the poor dog's fault at that point because we don't know if the animals are being affected. We'll have to look at how many of those are happening at some point in time. But I don't know how because they're always biting. People don't take care of their animals. They treat them like they should be guard dogs, and then they wonder why they're biting everybody in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay. Portland, Oregon, 45-year-old man wrestled with police officers, bit them, fought off being shocked with a taser multiple times. See, here you go again, tasered, bit. See what I mean? Before finally being taken into custody. Charles Freeman had just been released from the Portland hospital. Why was he there? They don't tell us this. They're not going to tell you. Why was he in the hospital to begin with? Then they release him, and he refused to leave the hospital property. Witnesses said he urinated on the bushes of the hospital grounds. Big deal. He's running naked through the traffic. He's been tased a couple of times. Eventually, Freeman left, started walking with nothing but a hospital gown. He went from naked to a hospital gown. How did that happen? Point being, he doesn't feel any pain, and he's biting, and he's half naked. At least his ass is hanging out. Because it says running naked through traffic, but then it says he had nothing but a hospital gown on. Did they put him back in the hospital and he ran out? Because initially he wouldn't leave.
Yeah, true.
He walked into a business. They escorted him out. He fought them off and ran off. He headed towards a homeless person. Oh, wonderful. They got to add that in. Thanks for so
I know.
exciting.
Poor homeless people are like bait. Sitting ducks, you know.
They are. They mind their own business, and they're attacked. Oh, my God. Officers used their taser, but it had no effect on him, and that's what bothers me right there in this really strange article. They caught up with him. This means this guy's friggin' booking it. As they tried to handcuff him, he grabbed an officer's leg and wouldn't let go. He bit officers in the course of the struggle and was only arrested once they beat the hell out of him multiple times. So basically they struck him multiple times. So they beat the hell out of him. Okay. Freeman was taken back to the hospital. His current condition isn't known, and we're not going to know. 3 officers were injured in the struggle, and they're still investigating. He's suspected of being high on methamphetamines. Oh, and he apparently bit one of the officers' fingers as he fought with them. So this one is high on meth. He was already hospitalized. Now, if he was in the hospital overnight, I want you to tell me this. Okay, this whole article is so funky. First he's running naked, then he has a hospital gown on. He was in the hospital the night before, but then he refused to leave the hospital when they released him, which meant he knew something was still wrong. But if he was high on methamphetamines, how was he getting the methamphetamines in the hospital when he was in the hospital prior to this incident, where they released him from the hospital? That meant something happened. He went to the hospital. You know how long it takes when you go even to an emergency room, right? A few hours at least.
Yep.
Wouldn't he have come down off that meth high? And by the time he left the hospital, he's zooming worse than he was when he went in, because they released him.
And why would they release him knowing that behavior?
Exactly.
Yep.
Oh, he was high on meth. How's that possible? He was in the hospital. It had to be for hours. He had to have come down by then. They released him, which meant he was of sound mind. And he refused to leave the hospital, meaning he knew something was still wrong with him. Must have. He did not want to leave the hospital. And then they finally got him to leave the hospital, and he ran and went crazy and didn't want to get caught. But the thing is, though, that he was biting and he was tasered and he was attacking anybody. If he was going after a homeless man, and it took 3 cops to take him down and they all got hurt in the process, then this guy, to me, classifies as one of them.
Well, he also went into a store and some people had to escort him out.
The cops were escorting him all over the place. It didn't even make any sense. But I think this is one. If that's true, that was 5 days after the Chinaman. Yeah, please, again, if you know any cases, let us know. Email us on Blog Talk or HappyZebra2, zebras with a S2, number 2 @gmail.com. We really want to hear if you guys hear of any cases. It's really important you open your eyes and pay attention. Okay, July 7th, 2 days later. Ready for that? You got that one, July 7th?
Yep, I got this one.
Which was actually, this happened on the 4th of July. Either way, they're within days of each other. This was posted July 5th. It probably happened the 4th. This was posted July 7th, and it says it happened on 4th of July. Now, you can go online for this one, the naked woman walking on Interstate 805. You can go online on YouTube, put in naked woman on highway, and you can watch this woman do this, and it's the strangest thing. She's walking like she's disoriented, just pointing, saying something. She's going against the traffic, endangering herself and not even knowing it, stark naked. After what? After she crashes a car. Watch. According to witnesses, 10 in the morning. So I guess she must have been high all night. 10 in the morning. An unidentified female, never did get a name for her, was involved in a car crash. They said that she just crashed into the median, the barrier there that stops you from going from one highway side to the other. She just crashed into it. African American, in black or white doesn't even matter, Mexican. The guy was speaking Spanish, and the other one, remember, he didn't understand what he was saying coming across the yard. He was speaking in Spanish. Doesn't matter what nationality. We got Chinamen, we got Canadians, blacks, whites, Hispanics, everybody. In fact, you'll find an Italian one in here somewhere. Okay. Got out of her car. took her clothes off for no apparent reason. Everybody do that? You get in a car crash, you got to take those clothes off and relieve some stress.
I don't know.
They have a cell phone
in front of somebody.
Cell phone video. Okay, that's where you can go on YouTube and you can find this. News 10 will probably put in News 10, woman crashed on highway naked. That's all you got to do. The woman walking down the fast lane and then into the number 2 lane. We saw somebody in the road and they looked naked. That's when I broke out the cell phone camera because that's what we do these days. We don't pull them out of the water when they're drowning. We just film them drowning. This is not something you see every day, a woman walking in the fast lane completely naked. No shit. See, people actually do joke about this, but none of it's really funny. Like all those zombie apocalypse people, those people, who the hell do they think they are? This really happened to Rudy Eugene, and nobody knows why. That's a scary freaking thing.
Very.
The video showed several cars swerving onto the shoulder to avoid hitting her. And you can see her walking and pointing as she's walking. And a cop's trying to get the traffic out of the way, and then eventually they took her. She was on the verge of snapping. California, that's where that one is. Needs update, I wrote. Big letters. I need an update on that. She, I don't know who she is, though. I can't Google the name. California. She was on the verge of snapping. Like I said, you're going to hear a lot of them where they just park the car in odd places, or they crash into a building or a tree or something, and they just get out and start stripping and then start attacking. She was on the verge of attacking, but they got her in the cruiser into the hospital. We don't know what happened to her. For all we know, the Army came in and took her.
Yeah.
I'm crazy, right? I've just read to you 6 cases in the course of 2 weeks. What? I'm crazy? 2 months.
That's not even half of them in this year. In that year alone.
No, we're not going to do it today. We got 15 minutes.
No. Yep.
We're going to do another show. You got to follow us, and you'll get an email. And you'll only get an email when we do a show. We don't send out all these emails. It's only when we put up a show so that you'll know.
Yeah. We're not spammers. Don't worry.
Nope. If you follow us, you're not going to get a whole bunch. Only the day that we do a show. When one's booked and then when it's going to air, that's when you'll get 2 emails. That's all you'll get from us. So follow us, and definitely look around your newspaper. Watch. Everybody's going to notice. If they listen to this, everybody's going to
know.
They're going to see all kinds of cases out there, and hopefully they'll send them to us. We broke this.
Well, that's what we're here for the awareness of what's going on that no one else seems to see. And maybe you need your eyes opened, Maybe that's what it takes.
Yeah, but you do, because that guy said, and I knew they were doing something. They're gearing up. Remember I said they're going to do full speed. They're going to do full speed the end of September, and it's running now, because he said it had to take a while for them to get up to get that much speed up. We're talking faster than the speed of light. Flip your light on for your... flip a light on sometimes. See how fast that goes. It's really fast.
Well, light travels faster than sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if this is what's happening when they're turning it off and on, or running it for 6 months and stopping, what's going to happen when? And this isn't even full speed back in 2012. They didn't even come close to it. Now it's full speed. Do you know how many people? I got to tell you, after looking all these up over the years, because we did a show last year, and I wasn't walking. If I saw somebody walking towards me on the sidewalk, I'm telling you, no word of lie, and I'll do it right. I walk to the other side. I cross the street, because you don't know who they are.
I do it too.
And that you do not know who they are. So you have to be, you should be carrying some kind of pepper spray or something on you.
Oh, no, you can't use pepper spray. It doesn't work. Pepper spray doesn't work.
Everybody should carry bug spray, because I know it worked for that guy. It blinds the crap out of him. Pepper spray for a minute. If you get past the pain, you'll still see what you're doing, but bug spray you can't.
I don't know. People have been blinded by pepper spray.
Have they? Well,
yeah.
I don't know what to say if you run into one of these guys, but at least be alert that if somebody is acting or walking around naked or starts taking their pants off in front of you, get the hell out of there, get other people out of there, and call the cops.
Evacuate the vicinity.
Yeah, because he is going to kill you. or somebody. He is going to attack somebody's face. That's a given. Okay, we have California again. That last one, I think, was in California. Here's another one.
It was.
This is, and you know
2
what
days
else?
later.
Yeah, this is very close by. 2-3 days later. 7 o'clock at night. They're all different times. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
They're all different times. They're not all early in the morning or it's in the afternoon. It's early evening. A California man got naked and went on a bloody rampage at a hotel, killing a 62-year-old woman at random. This is a really sick case, this one here, but he has all the telltale signs. He got naked. Now, what happened was Stephen Carrero, now here we are, 25 years old. See, I'm glad that we read some of them that were older, 36, 42, whatever, because just because they're young doesn't mean it's drugs. Because if everybody was young, they'd say, yeah, they're doing drugs. They're not. These are, you'll see all different kinds of people. 25 years old. He, let me see. He was naked. I want to get to the story.
Tracy.
Oh, listen to this. Like he was on Cloud 20. Oh, where do they come up with these names out of the blue? I don't know what he was
Cloud
on,
9.
but he was on something. Oh, it's Cloud 20 in here.
Oh. Well, I mean, I thought the saying was Cloud 9.
Oh, that's a saying when you're really happy. But according to the drug, and this one's going to point out, too, it's Cloud 20, whatever that is. He was high on something. Now, notice everything's alleged. There's no proof. So far, I haven't gotten any proof any of them was on drugs. Haynes said that Carrero knocked on the hotel door about 7 at night, acting weird. That means he's disoriented, trying to sell candy. When Haynes turned him away, now this is the part that I've always ran through my head and I can't figure it out. Carrero allegedly started breaking windows. Another telltale sign, disorientation, naked, breaking windows. Minutes later, Haynes heard all hell break loose in the management apartment. He and a group of other guests broke into the apartment. If they heard, see, they act like this happened like within seconds. He went from his door, broke a window, and climbed in the window. The guest had to break into the apartment. When they came in, now this would have only taken you a couple minutes, right? You can look in the friggin' broken window and see what's going on. I can't imagine that it would have taken that long to get in that door. In that small time, the lady, which is a 62-year-old lady in the management apartment, was half naked. He was butt naked, which, remember Rudy Eugene? He took his clothes off. He was just like swinging them around till the clothes were off. Most people would say he was going to rape her. I don't think rape has anything to do with this. In fact, not once has there been a sexual thing going on. But that they ripped their clothes off him. Blood all over him. It was crazy, man, Heinous said.
Oh, my gosh.
They held down Carrero until the police arrived. He was combative. It took officers 20 minutes to subdue him. If it took officers 20 minutes to subdue him, how the hell did those guests hold him back? I don't think they did. I think that's a lie. The nature of the woman's injuries aren't immediate clear. Carrero may have sustained a broken arm and a wounded foot during the melee. You know, that's a lot of fighting. Broken arm, wounded foot.
Yeah.
There's no more to it. You know, he killed that woman, by the way.
Yep. Yeah, I just saw that. I was kind of shocked by that. Yep.
He killed that woman in a matter of minutes, people. Where'd that spider go? I'm watching it walk across. There it is, over my head, of course. It has to, like, dangle there. All right. He killed her in a matter of minutes. I'm going to have to kill this frickin' thing. It's got to stop looking at me.
Well, apparently this guy had to kill this woman, too. Just as fast.
He saw a spider and didn't know what to do. He killed her in minutes. That's some really vicious stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
It took 20 minutes for the cops to... Certainly they had more than one cop. They broke the guy's arm. They were doing
Well,
everything to get this guy down.
if the lady was gnawed to death, I'm sure they had backup.
Yeah, I don't think he did.
I can't imagine one officer squaring down a freaking crazy man-eating man.
That is definitely one of them.
It's sad that we're the high, like, how do I explain it? We're not the highest on our food chain anymore. We are, but we aren't.
Why not?
It's the way it seems. These people, we used to be highest on the food chain. We didn't have to gnaw people's faces off to be highest on the food chain. Then you got these people that are, for whatever reason, snapping out, for lack of better words.
I think they're demonically possessed. And I think it came from CERN. That's what I believe. That's my answer to the connection that I could not make for the longest time between everybody. That makes sense. They let something out, more than one thing, probably a dozen of them, and they're just doing this. You don't even know how many came out in that little burst of energy of neutrons banging together. I don't know how they're working it, but they said they could open. How can they tell us, oh, we could open to another dimension, something's going to come out, or we could send something through? That means they already know, or they wouldn't be saying that. That means they've done it already, and they're probably very happy about it because, hey, it's science after all. Now we know there's something on the other side. Hey, let's go through the other side some more and see if we can make friends. This is what's happening. I think they're possessed because a lot of them will say, I don't remember doing any of that. So, and that's, you know what else? That's if they are ever released from that hospital.
Yeah.
That's if the military doesn't come in and get them and experiment on them. Because we don't hear anything more about them. I saw one guy that went to court. That's how I know they don't remember anything. We'll get to his case. And he was in court, and I said, wow, he snapped out of it. And he leaned forward and said, I need to say something, Your Honor. Just this little 20-year-old kid. And the Honor says, oh, yes, what would you like to say? And the guy, I think it was De Leon is his name, and he leaned over, and he said, I just want you to know I don't remember any of it. I don't remember it. So he blacked out. He doesn't remember doing it's going to attack.
I knew that was going to happen eventually.
Oh, man, it walked right over my head. It's not my fault. Yeah, hold on. I got to kill this thing. I can't have it lingering over my head. I'm not your friend. Okay? Ooh, that's...
Well, with all the spiders you've
I missed. Hold on. I got to get this spider. I can't reach it. I have a right to kill a spider, right? Hold on. Sorry, guys. This is like really an emergency. I've got to kill this thing. Stop! I can't get it. It's too far up. All right, maybe it'll just...
Where is it?
It's right above me on the ceiling, and I can't reach the ceiling.
Gosh, Kim.
Let me see. We got 7 minutes left. Maybe the thing will behave for 7 minutes. Yeah, so let's not do another one. So, since we only have 7 minutes, we can cut this short so I can kill this spider. We're going to come back, and we're going to pick up where we left off. Where we left off was Stephen Andrew Carrero, July 9th.
So we want to go into July 11th would be the next one. Fiddler on the Roof.
Fiddler on the Roof. We're going to do Fiddler on the Roof next. But we have a couple more. And this is just 2012, guys.
We're not even halfway through 2012.
Seriously.
We're not even...
And I've got 11 of them or more. 13 of them? What did I say I had? For 2015. 11 cases for 2015. This is just 2012. So if you think it's over, and you're not shocked by these articles I'm reading to you, and you don't see those telltale signs, and that something's wrong, and considering CERN and everything that they're doing, that thing is bad, and we're going to see more of these cases at the end of the year. So it will be good to listen. And if you guys know of any cases, please, I beg you to send them to us. So this has been great. This is the first show. We're going to have more.
Yes.
Follow us, and we'll put it out there. Thanks, Elizabeth, for helping me with research and everything. And maybe what we're hoping is that we might be able to get a hold of some of the parents of these people, or maybe the people, if they're still alive themselves, to explain themselves. I would really like to talk to somebody directly involved, and not like some girlfriend of 4 months. We're talking about like their parents or somebody that knows them.
Well, didn't you briefly speak to Johnny Lewis's mother at one point?
Yeah, and they believe, because he was under so much stress and he had mental issues, but I don't believe that. I just left it alone because that's her belief, and that's what she wants to believe. I tried to tell her there might be something more to this. She's a really nice woman. They're really heartbroken. I completely defend, because they've been getting they got a lot of hate mail because he had killed that woman, and nobody has a right to do that. I was disgusted that people were writing articles about what a horrible person he was. They were sending them bad mail and really ditching him. And the truth is, I don't believe he did one thing wrong consciously. Oh, great. Now I don't know where it is at all.
What?
The spider. That guy is innocent of what he did. The way Rudy Eugene is innocent of what he did, because there is nothing in either one of their systems. Don't tell me that they were both mentally insane. Johnny Lewis, and when we get to the case, the people will see. We'll talk about him when we come to it. But no, the parents don't believe. They know it's not drugs, but they don't know what it is. So they're assuming it's, he had a bump in the head. He's had a hard time. But I don't believe any of that matters. I think it's CERN. I think something's going on with the machine. I think it's affecting everybody. China, Canada. We haven't even got to Canada yet. In the United States in 2012, it was every 2 weeks, minimum. So there's something going on. Please look at your newspapers. Send them in. We're going to close out. I appreciate you listening. Even if you're just listening to the archives, send us news articles. That's what we want. We want everyone aware that this is not a one-time deal, and it is not drugs. Okay, I really got to get this thing's all over the map here, the spider. So I'm going to go kill a spider.
Come again, people. It's a pleasure being able to inform you, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, and look for our next show, because we will be having one within